Jada Pinkett Smith may be an author, but she is far from the actor that she once was. And here's why. Welcome to Beyond the Screen, I'm Nate, and this is the real reason Hollywood won't hire Jada Pinkett Smith anymore. Number 10. Cleopatra. This ill-fated TV series, Cleopatra, hit the air this year and received some of the worst reviews in human history. The show, produced and narrated by Jada, was released on Netflix and quickly became one of the most mocked properties on the platform. The series starred a woman of color in the leading role of the titular Egyptian, which caused many fans to call the casting choice cultural appropriation. Ironically, Cleopatra has almost always been played by a non-Egyptian actor, with Elizabeth Taylor being the most famous portrayal of all time. On top of the controversial casting choice, the overall show was terrible, and many complaints centered around the lazy dialogue, the bad acting, the historical inaccuracies. There is a ton of problems with this show, the main one being that it was set in the wrong time period while claiming to be a historically accurate series. Netflix had to deal with a lot of hardships thanks to the series, literally turning off the comments on the trailer due to the alarming amount of racially fueled and hostile commentary. The show sits at about 2% on Rotten Tomatoes and is unfortunately one of the few productions that Jada has under her belt. When a show that could have been great tanks hard and it's your fault, Hollywood tends to blame the producers. Number 9. Separation. Cheating rumors and dating scandals have followed this couple throughout their entire relationship. Since day one, people have been convinced that they're in an open relationship or that they've been cheating on each other on and off basically the entire time. But it turns out that those rumors were somewhat true. Ahead of the release of her new book, Worthy, Jada sat down with People magazine to share some inside info. The most revealing was that herself and Will Smith have actually been separated for 7 years. Despite appearing to be a happy couple on the outside, the truth was that they decided to go their separate ways, emotionally speaking, a long time ago. Since 2016, Jada and Will have been living in the same house and appearing on red carpets together, but behind the scenes they actually just don't do anything. They just sit at home and just kind of chill. Considering the massive size of Will's house, it's pretty easy to imagine Jada choosing her own section and decorating it to her liking. She continued to say that she felt pressured into being with Will because it was mainly his idea to get together in the first place. 2 kids and 1 marriage later, and here we are. Hollywood doesn't take too kindly to people who can't make up their minds. Number 8. Red Table Talk. For those of you who may not know, and lucky you, Jada ran a talk show for roughly 5 years called Red Table Talk. Unless you were glued to Facebook Watch, you probably missed out on this one. In 2018, Jada invited her mother, Adrienne Banfield Norris, and daughter Willow Smith to join her in an open conversation spanning 3 generations of women. Unfortunately, her show tended to drift into too much information territory, discussing topics between the family that really shouldn't be talked about with family, especially on a camera. Another rough part of the series was that Jada would often bring in celebrity guests to also discuss these topics, as well as confront their issues that they might have had. She even brought her husband Will onto the show at one point just to discuss the infidelity scandal that had plagued their relationship, one of the most uncomfortable interviews in the show's history, and that is saying something. It was decided in April of this year that Red Table Talk would be cancelled and removed from the platform. When you have a show that you not only starred in but created from top to bottom, it's 100% your fault when it eventually gets cancelled. The show is currently looking for a new home in the world of streaming, but has yet to land on one, thankfully. Number 7. After Earth. In 2013, Jada helped produce a film starring her husband Will and her son Jaden Smith. Will Smith came up with the idea for After Earth while watching a science show on TV. It's very special. Eventually, this evolved into a science fiction story that takes place in the year 1000 AE, or 1000 years after the human race has left the planet because of pollution and global warming. The plot featured a father and his teenage son who crash land on Earth, and the teenager must save his injured father on what has become a hostile planet. Yeah, I got bored talking about it. Smith developed the movie as a star vehicle for his 14-year-old son Jaden. The actor sold his post-apocalyptic vision to M. Night Shyamalan, and this high-budget vanity project was just a family affair. There was Jaden, Will, Jada, and even Jada's brother Caleb Pinkett Smith was a key member of the production. The $130 million Smith family movie hit the big screen in 2013, and it was horrible and scored 11% on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics lambasted basically every single detail, including the plot that was just boring and lifeless. Number 6. TMI. One thing that really did not need to be told to the entire world was the fact that Jada Smith likes to do ayahuasca in his spare time and introduced his mother to the hallucinogen. In her tell-all interview promoting her tell-all book, she revealed that her son Jaden saved her life after introducing her to the ceremony during a dark time. While Jaden did not do it all the time, he had heard about the process and its benefits for mental health issues and suggested that, they give it a shot. She claims that after only a handful of uses that her negative thoughts went away. But Jaden has released a statement along with his sister begging their mother to stop saying things all the time. Keep some family stuff private. Jaden did not need the entire world to know his business or the business of his friend who gave him the advice when the substance is super illegal in most parts of the US and, the world. Jaden has every right to ask for some privacy. His entire life has been broadcasted for the world to see since the moment he stepped in front of a camera. Jada, chill. Number 5. The Nutty Professor. The Nutty Professor is a comedy classic from the legendary performer Eddie Murphy based on a film from 1963 of the same name starring Jerry Lewis as the leading man. In the 96 remake, Jada Pinkett Smith portrayed Eddie's love interest, Carla Purdy, and despite the film being this light-hearted romp sharing the message of self-love, people hated Jada in the movie. Of all the actors on the screen, Jada is the most out of place. While there wasn't a slew of massive A-listers on command, the cast involved did do a great job and everyone had their own little moments. However, Jada just kind of felt out of place. Her acting career has been limited over the years and probably for good reason, especially when you put her next to a comedy legend like Eddie Murphy. That would be like putting Jim Carrey and a tired sloth in a room together and telling them to have a rap battle. Jim Carrey's gonna win. Her performance in the film was enough to make securing work hard in the following years, but as you've seen and will continue to see, Hollywood gave her a second chance time and time again. Number 4. Gotham. Gotham is an underappreciated series from the world of DC Comics and I really recommend it if you haven't seen it. It's set in Gotham City before Bruce Wayne becomes Batman and we follow a young Jim Gordon as he deals with the criminals roaming Gotham streets. People like the Riddler, the Penguin, and of course, Jada Pinkett Smith as mob boss Fish Mooney. DC is great with names. Fish. The character acted as the frenemy of the Penguin, but whenever Jada was next to her co-star, Robin Lord Taylor, she was outshined every single time. In fact, she was outshined by basically everybody on that show. Anyone she stood next, even the extras. Her character was meant to be a scary bad guy that strikes fear into the hearts of those who encountered her, but instead Jada delivers this monotone performance that the producers quickly noticed. By the end of season 3, Fish was written out of the story and left to rot on the dock. Number 3. Scream 2. I want to start off by saying Scream 2 is not a bad movie, okay? The Scream franchise is actually pretty solid and is considered to be one of the best horror series of all time. Ghostface is iconic and so is Jada's only good scene in the film when she's taken out by Ghostface. Spoiler alert! In Scream 2, Jada Pinkett Smith plays one of the ill-fated teens, Maureen Evans. While this was actually one of her few decent performances, spoiler alert, I already said that, her character perishes towards the end of the movie. Yeah. She's taken out in a very graphic and public fashion. While watching the fictional Scream film in theaters, Jada cuddles up to who she thinks is her boyfriend, but is actually Ghostface in disguise. She gets repeatedly jabbed while the same thing is happening to a character on screen. And while this is one of the better scenes in Scream's history, it was the only scene where Jada came across as a good actor, and she was just kind of screaming and tumbling the whole time. The argument can be made that most young actors just kind of play themselves on screen, but sometimes it just feels like Jada forgot the camera was even rolling. Number 2, Oscars confusion. Now that all of this information about Jada and Will has been leaked into the world by Jada herself, one major question still lingers on everybody's mind. If she hasn't been with Will Smith for like 7 years, why did he feel that it was necessary to defend Jada and strike Chris Rock at the Oscars? Many fans have flooded social media with questions and concerns surrounding this incident from 2022. If you don't remember, Chris Rock made fun of Jada for being bald and Will Smith went up on stage and he took care of him, you know? If he had been attending Chris Rock's stand-up special, who knows what would have happened. It was fantastic, but you gotta look that one up to know what I'm talking about. Despite Will claiming that playing the role of King Richard had left him in an odd mental state, it was really no excuse for his outburst, especially if he had not been romantically involved with Jada in years. The main point being made by some people online is that despite Will and Jada separating, they remained close friends. So in that instance, Will was defending his very good friend, but there's still no excuse for causing Marty the Z Zebra Pain, Marty the Zebra from Madagascar. It's a great movie. Will has claimed that he tried to reach out to Chris following the Oscars, but that he was told that Chris wasn't ready to talk. Either that or he was ready, but he knew that he would fly off the handle the second that he heard Will's voice. And at number 1, her biases. When the Oscars So White controversy erupted in 2016, Will and Jada were among the most vocal critics of the Academy. For the second year in a row, all 20 of the actors nominated in the leading and supporting roles were white, something that hadn't happened since 1998. Jada released a very publicized video explaining why she was boycotting the Oscars that year, hoping to shine a spotlight on institutional racism. However, the majority of Hollywood didn't appreciate the things that she was saying about them, not to mention, during an episode of Red Table Talk, the actress confessed her own tendency to judge others based on their race, revealing that she specifically had a problem with white, blonde women. According to Jada herself, blonde hair on a woman just sets her off, and she's had to hold herself back a few times. She went on to reveal that she had actually turned down several interviews over the years just because the person who was interviewing her was a blonde white lady. She claims that her bias is due to her history of being bullied by women with those physical traits growing up. Regardless of why she hates them, blonde white women make up a lot of Hollywood, so kinda makes sense that Jada'd be placed on the do not hire list. And those are the real reasons that Jada is blacklisted. Drop a like if you had a good time, and please follow the channel for more celebrity content each and every day. Thank you for stopping beyond the screen, and we'll see you next time.